Kia ora e te whānau, this is what we're making today. Well, we're back with part 4, which this will be a second page in our Come Make a Ring Bound with me. And I have this will be in the page folder. It's just 2 of my digitals that I have put as they were A4, but we're not going to need that much for this page, so I've just put 2 to a page. And I've just printed it on, and I don't know if you can see, this is that origami paper that I love printing on. I just really like how it prints and the texture it gives, rather than it just being flat card or paper. And then I have just cut a tag. I've just used my tag top punch. You're more than welcome just to use a tag top that you like. You might even just angle the edges. That would be fine too. I have made it what does that measure? There you go. Is that 2.5? 2.5 wide. And if you can imagine that this is our page, this is going to sit down here. We're going to have a D-ring and a little closure there, and this is going to have one there, and it's going to tie together with some string. I've done this in another journal, cannot remember which one it is. And then this will flip down, and there's going to be writing space here. Isn't this just gorgeous? It's an old French postcard, and it is legit. But the colours, look at the colours. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go away, and the only downside to this paper, which is why I didn't cover it first, and I'm going to have to hand cut that tag, is because it's so fibrous. Do not put it through any kind of paper punch. It doesn't like it. It just gets jammed in your paper punch. It's not fun. So I am going to go away. I'm going to cover one side with this, and I'm going to cover the other side with that. We'll cover it all the way down to the bottom, the whole thing, because you will see that slightly, because that up there we're also going to make into a pocket on the page so that something can slide down into there. Okay, so I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I've just covered it front back and inked the edges, refolded it and recut the punch holes. And how this is going to flip up, I just want to have a little pocket in here. Now I have looked this up. It's 1939 cigarette card, so I'm pretty sure I can't copy that, but hopefully you've got a little cigarette card collection. Otherwise I'd just make a little tag to put in there. That would be fine as well. So I'll just do this one in silence and speed it up a bit, because it's not rocket science. Okay, so we're going to use these again, these little picture hanging hook D-rings. Pretty sure you'll find them if you look that up. And we're going to use these metal rivets this time. Which are the double-sided. So the ones, I looked it up, and the ones that I used last time that just have the flat metal circle on the back, those ones are called one-sided metal rivets, I believe. And to get this colour, when I'm doing the search trying to find things, I usually just put in antique at the end of it, and then you seem to come up with these colours rather than random ones. We might put a little cluster on there. We'll see how it goes and whether or not the page is already too busy, or it might just be something flat on there. We'll just see how we go. And we need to pinch these ones just the same as we pinched the last ones, just so that I'll show you actually, because if you haven't used these before you wouldn't know. So they have this little, can you see that little indent there? So you're pushing it past that so that it locks, and that's why you need to pinch them with the pliers. Okay, so next step, we're going to use these two this time. I will put the copy of that in there, of the 1890 French ledger. That's original though, and I've just backed it onto some card because it's a nice weight paper, but it's still paper, and for the pockets that we're going to do I want something a little bit sturdier. So all we have to do, I like this side I think, so I will give that a chop. So now we will have that. By the way, this is that beautiful fly paper. Look at the state of it. That I scanned, and all I did was, once I'd scanned it, is I took a good part of it and I repeated it back together to make a nice A4 so that we could use it and print it. But isn't it just gorgeous? I love that. So that's where that paper came from. So what I want to do is, for this one, so this is going to go up there, and this is going to go down here. I'm just going to leave, this is a true A5, so we are going to need to move it over slightly so that we can get our binding on for that. So I made sure that the postcard leaves a little bit of a lip there. But what I also want to do is I want that to be a pocket. I want there to be a pocket here, and I want there to be a pocket here for some journaling cards. So then what we need to do, so I've just lined this up onto here, put the postcard on, realised how much room I need there, lined that up so that they have the same amount of room left for the binding. And then I've just ruled a pen line down there, and I have ruled a pen line across here. The extra line is just my glue margin. Okay, so I'm only going to put glue in there. I'm also going to need to glue down here. Okay, so glue, 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 glue. But before I do that, I just want to make a couple of templates for the tag sizes. And I am going to, you won't have to make the allowance. See, your tag would probably just fit like that. I'm going to make it out of a heavier matte board because I really like substantial tags, and I think I've said on another video that you could get this matte board. I just go to a picture framing gallery and I say, have you got any matte board scraps? And they've usually got a few that they'll just give you completely for free. So I'm going to give my tag a little bit more of an allowance than I would if it was just going to be thin card. So I'm going to make my tag with that, maybe even a little bit smaller, so that I've got a good amount of room to slide that in. Don't want it to go all the way down to the end of the pocket, so there. So there's that one done, and I'll just label it because they aren't going to be that far off in size. And I'm going to do the same thing here, but I actually want a shorter pocket here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put so this is going to be all glued up so that the pocket stops there. I don't want anything I don't need a deep pocket for that. And then I'm not going to film lining out a template for that pocket because I've shown you that one, and same again for that little guy up there as well. Okay, so tags lined out, and labeling them just helps me not get too clean up happy and throw them away, because that often happens as well. And then I'm like, where are those? So I'll just clip them together, and then I'm far less likely to throw those away. Now, I did make one boo-boo, which I will show you. You can see how I've put lines up there because we don't want to glue that part of this line, remember, because we want it to be a pocket in between. And the only other thing that I need to do is just put a little bit of inking along there and along there. Because they're not big wide pockets, you're not going to see into them much at all. You could line them with paper or washi tape if you want to, just to give it a little bit more interest. I do still want to ink around that one as well. So all I am going to do is I'm going to ink around this guy, and I'm going to glue where I've said I'm going to glue, and I'm going to stick them together. The only other thing I need to do is put some divot holes, and this is where you decide, do you want your divot holes on this one, or do you want them to be on the back cover? And because I want to put a cluster on here, I'm going to do it on this one. Here's a really good lesson of fixing your boo-boos, and don't do what I do. So remember, this is up here, and you probably were watching me do it and thinking, no, not on that one. So the divot for this pocket needs to be up here. Okay, so I'm just going to approximate that. Oh, so, and what I did to fix it was I dug through all of these little bits. And I have just stuck that back on there with some washi tape, and we'll just put a trim or something on there if we need to, or a cluster if it's not covered by what we're doing anyway. So there you go, that's a way to fix it. So I believe we had about that much room, so I want to put the middle of my divot about there. Oh, goodness gracious. The trials and tribulations of junk journaling. Give it a quick ink. Make it look like it's been there for years. Okay, so I'm just going to glue this onto here first, just so that I don't have to slip it down the pocket once I've got the whole thing glued together. So it needs to go about there. I'll just make sure that when these are together, it is down as far as it needs to be to still open. Okay, and now I'm going to glue in the places that I wanted to, and I'm not going to film it. Okay, so now that we've glued it together, we've got that pocket in the right spot, we've got a pocket, and now what we need to do, and I've done it already, is you need this D-ring obviously hanging over slightly, so I just line that up, pop that right where I want it, trace through the hole, and put a punch in there. And then I'm just going to pop that on there exactly the same way I did the first one, so I won't waste your time by filming it. Okay, so you could either pop this on here with fabric, or you could use some faux yellowed tape. And this, I have made it, so I did a whole lot on with the alcohol ink on sellotape, then I scanned it, then I cropped around it and made my own. You can buy clear sticker paper. I just get it from Temu. It does need to go through the laser copier. It does not like a print jet, so I do it at school. But that is never going to rub off. And if I show you, I'll just cut a little piece here. You'll notice that I don't have a nail on one thumb, and it's because if you put fake nails on, you can't peel stickers. So see, there you go, it's transparent. You can still see that faint line right through there. So I will pop a copy of that in this week's, just as a little bonus. And then if you, because I know, and I'm not going to say the name, but I know how expensive this stuff is to buy. I think the sticker paper, you can get quite a few sheets for like $10. So hopefully that's a little yay for you. I just don't want anything too thick, so you could use a really thin cotton to put across here, or you could use this to bind it on. I think I am just going to use this because I am going to, on the back of here, I'm going to make this a writing space anyway, which is why it would be far better if you just use a copy of the ledger, because I'm going to end up covering most of it up anyway, and I should have really just not been lazy and copied one off, but I had it sitting there and it was already partly cut up, so that's why I used the original. So I'll just leave a little space there so that that can fold up nicely. And to be fair, I might just put another little piece across here, just because that edge is quite sticky, as you know, but I think that looks quite cool. It looks quite genuine. What do you think? So yeah, I'll pop that in as well, and I am going to pop a little piece on the back as well. And I know it's going to go across the postcard a little bit, but I honestly don't mind. I enjoy the aesthetics that the faux yellow tape adds to the journal, as if they actually had used this postcard to create a little space in their journal because they loved it so much. So I don't want too much showing on the opposite side of the page, but if it bothers me down here, I'll just end up covering it up with some crochet or something and do a page trim top and bottom. It's not a big deal. Okay, next step, attaching the string. Now this is just embroidery thread, 3 strands of 6-strand cotton, and I've just plaited it. So I've cut it a little bit shorter than it was to begin with. Now this in itself is not going to hold this flat to the page, so you will see later on what we decide to. I'm just going to put a little tuck that you can just flip that under, just a little one. I'll show you later when we do that. And then that will just tie just in one knot and a little bow. And I thought that's just a cute little addition, but you'll see how it bounces up, which in itself, I mean, it's almost flush, but I just want to hold that postcard down just a little bit flatter perhaps than that. So there's this part done. Now we just need to decorate this part. Now I'm not sure if I can copy postcards or not. and considering I've put this in it, it's a bit late anyway, but I was not sure about the copyright of postcards. If you could leave that in the note so that I know for next time, that would be amazing, as to whether or not postcards are out of copyright or not. I'm sure you could find a little postcard if you don't have any old postcards. This could just be another cute little picture, and you could just print it off, and down here perhaps you could have some writing space, even some extra writing space. That would be quite cool too. So just an alternative if you don't have postcards, or you could always print one off of yourself, double-sided, stick them together and make your own postcard. Okay, next part, well, this is what I'm going to do. You don't have to do this, but I want this to be writing space, and I want to put some sort of little cluster up there, which we will sort out in a minute. So I've just ripped a piece of paper, taken that edge down, and ripped that edge and ripped that edge. And I'm sure you have note paper, but I will pop a scanned copy of this brown note paper into the folder as well. It comes from this beautiful book that I got, and I've just got a couple of blank pages at the back, so I'll just glue that, stick it on and come back. Okay, so I've just been faffing around with a few bits and pieces. This obviously way too plain for me, so using our floral paper, I'll pop it in the same folder again. And that's a good point. Even though I know I've put this in another folder, I will put it in the folder for part 4, so that when you choose to, if you choose to do this particular page, everything that you need will be in that folder. I hope that makes sense, and I hope it's helpful. And I've just bordered it with a piece of ledger paper, and I think I'm just going to pop that one there. And then I was playing around with bits and pieces. I was looking at that, just maybe up there. And I think I've decided I'm going to go with that. That's from our hand dyeing, which will be in the next part. Because that, when you open it up, already is quite cute. I made a tab that I'm going to pop there, just for that extra, like I said, to hold it down. And I just cut a circle punch and popped one of these stickers from the book that we used earlier, and I've just popped a brad in there. That's just for look. It's not going to serve any purpose. I want to pop that so that's going to be the little piece that this will flip under, just to hold that side closed a little bit more. So then it's going to look like that. I still felt like this was a bit plain, and I want to put a bit of metal in. So I've got quite a few different ones of these, like filigree. They're really nice and flat. But I think I've decided to go with that one, and that will be our page done. So I'm just going to glue those on. I'll glue the tab on first. That will allow me to know where exactly I need to place that. I only need a tiny little lip there for it to flip under. So I will likely glue all of this. And the more that goes under, the harder it is when you are, the more you've got to bend the postcard to get it under there. And it doesn't need too much for it to sit there neatly. And other than gluing, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Obviously this guy I'm just going to glue there, and there. Anything that I'm putting behind here is going to bulk this out again, so I didn't want anything too bulky. Unfortunately I can't put a cluster on there. You could put a little label or something just to make it more interesting, but I think when you open it up, that's a nice page. It's not too overdone, but it's still interesting. I hope you agree. Okay, I will glue all of these bits and pieces on, and I will pop back. So here's our second page. I'm pretty happy with how that looks. So just undo that. That then flicks up under there. What do you think? Now obviously we can put something quite flat in there. Don't know if I'll just put a couple of little tickets or a sticker or something, because that will just add a little bit of interest as well. Might actually do that. But yeah, please let me know what you think, and don't feel like you've got to do this exactly the same way as I do. I'm just trying to be helpful, to put as much in the folder as I can. So if you do want to use it, you can. You can use your own papers. You're going to have to use your own stickers. You might not have the same hardware. You might want to order the hardware. Completely up to you. So I'm just going to edit this part of the video and see how long we've got left, because I don't like these videos to go over 30 minutes, and I will just decide whether we've got time to just make that tag that's going to go in there, or whether we've got time to do the tags that are going in the other side as well. But to be fair, the tags that are going in the other side are actually more to do with that page than they are to do with this page. So yay, we have a little bit of time left after I've edited. It's at about 26 minutes, so I'll have to go really quickly. So all I've done is I've just got a bit of the leftover gel. You could do it out of any of the gel prints that you've printed off and you've got the leftover scrap out of. I bought a bunch of these. They come in a nest. They're just off Temu. They were super cheap. I have cut 1, 2, 3 of those. I've got a little slot punch, and I've just put it, folded it in half and snipped that, and I've just got a little bit of this. That's about all we need there. So randomly enough, I managed to cut it almost perfectly. There we go. And then hopefully that will just slide into there. So I think those are going to go quite nicely separated by a page. That's the beauty of this journal. There'll be something that I think just looks really nice next to that page, and I'll put those two together. So last thing, we also need to just put our binding on, and for this one I've just cut a piece of neutral fabric, and I'm just going to pop that onto there with some glue. I am going to then trim the excess off, and then I'm going to glue it onto there as we did the first one when we were doing this one, and then I'm just going to pop the eyelets in it like I did this one. So I'll be back in a tick. There you go, and there's both of them finished, and I think they will look gorgeous as you're flipping through the journal. So I hope that you are happy with that one, and until next time, love you guys heaps. Matiwa!